Call the meeting to order.
Good luck.
We're all present except for Tammy. I assume she will be here. I have not heard from her. Item 2,
Sorry, things with the
at the Commissioner's request, discuss any item of concern on the regular session agenda of December 20, 2016. Ron?
Nope.
Anybody?
I had one, if I can find it.
Okay.
I think it was on consent items. $500-some-thousand.
Consent item?
Wellfield improvements. 9-3.
That is actually a deduct. I think the 500,000 may have been the original price. The
Right.
Final contract amount's 522.
And that was a pipeline?
Yes, what we did is we had drilled a couple wells out in Major County in the previous year, and this project was to bring in the collector lines, to bring that into the Ames plant so we could get it into town.
Electric lines.
Collector lines,
Okay.
raw water lines off the wells.
So you lowered it by $11,914.
What was that, Mayor? Sorry.
The total amount was lowered by $11,914.
Exactly. The total
Yeah, it was a
amount ended
deduct
up-
change order.
Yeah, it ended up being $522,506 instead of $533 or $34 or $420.
Trying to get on my good side, aren't you?
Well, of course, sir.
Okay. That's all.
Okay.
Good question. Anyone else? Item 3, fiscal year 2015-2016 audit update. Aaron?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. We have Mike Gibson here again, partner with RSM, to give you an update on where we are with the audit for this fiscal year 16.
Thank you. So I came this time. You guys probably like Jake better, but he's anyway. We're basically done. We're waiting on a couple of things from the city, an attorney letter, and then we got to do all of our analysis of that, and we might have a couple of well, depends on when the debt financing closes. Aaron told me. I thought it was closing.
Closes tomorrow, Mike. So
Yeah, so we'll probably need to add a footnote disclosure in the financial statements about that. So it won't slow us down. Maybe it can slow us down a day. Like, so it may not be Thursday now. Like I told Gerald that everything goes right. Have everything, final reports on Thursday. Otherwise it'll be next week, Tuesday or Wednesday. Now it's most likely going to be Tuesday or Wednesday because Aaron will have to get us, we don't have to have the entire transcript of proceedings, but we'll need to have some of that information just so that you can add, since that's a significant transaction, that'll need to be, at least footnoted in your financial statements, and so we'll just need to get that. But other than that, we don't have any other really pending open items. So, and we still expect to issue an unmodified opinion, and we still expect to not have any material weaknesses or findings to report.
So we expect to get the report next week on
Yes.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
That's what I expect.
I'll send that out to all of you. You can study it over the New Year's break, and we'll
Yep.
come back in January. You'll come back again and explain the
Yep.
report.
As I mentioned to you on the phone last week, I am out of town on the 5th, so I won't
We'll
be
do
able.
it on the 19th.
Yeah,
Everybody's
come back the 19th.
We'll have the
so-
report next week.
Yes.
Tuesday or Wednesday. So
Yeah.
you will have it in your hands before the end of the year.
Right.
We get a printed copy?
We can. We'll ask for
That's what I
somebody.
want, a printed copy.
Okay. So. That may be Thursday. No, it should be Wednesday.
I can wait.
No, I mean we'll send them up to Aaron when we print them. We'll print. I mean, you might end up wanting 20 printed copies or whatever. We'll get 10 printed copies to you as soon as we can. So, anyway, at least to get to all the council members and right in here. So,
January the 16th is a holiday, right? That's what you
The 19th, Mayor's, that'll be on a Thursday, because, 16th's a holiday.
yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
We appreciate the timeliness.
All right. Thank you. Well, it's been I think that our team with Jake and Donovan, who were here last time, worked really well with Erin and her team this year. And as well as the audit, since we've been doing the audit, it's gone as well as it's ever gone. So, anyway. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's on Thursday also.
Item 4, discuss wayfinding signage.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Lisa Powell's going to present that on behalf of the first team and go through the history and tell you about where we got to.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for having me. I'm Lisa Powell with the Enid Regional Development Alliance. I'm here today representing the Enid First Team. The Enid First Team includes the City of Enid, Visit Enid, Chamber of Commerce, ERDA, and Main Street Enid. And just as a flashback here, we have the logos of all these organizations as they existed prior to the Enid First Team. And so that's just a little flashback to 2009. When this team first started meeting, we were really originally meeting as the retail team, where we were focusing on ways to attract new retail development to Enid. In 2010, we moved on and became the Enid First Team and began focusing on ways to not just attract retail, but attract citizens, visitors, business, and anything we can do to attract and retain those constituents to Enid. So let's go ahead and go for, oh, I've got the clicker. Okay. Okay. So this is Enid First Team as we exist today, since we have started meeting in 2009. I wanted to go through some of the things this team has tackled since that time. The most obvious is our rebranding that we've done as a community. And we did that to create a consistent look for each of our entities, so that as we did marketing buys and advertised ourselves as a community, that advertising dollar would go further and we would look like we were all on the same page and marketing the same message. Another thing that the Enid First Team has accomplished really is opening the lines of communication between all of our organizations so that we can work together on projects and keep informed with what we are each doing. And one of the things that was mentioned even as early as 2010, as I went back and looked at our notes, was wayfinding signage as one of the goals for the community. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. This has been something that has been over a year in the making since we've started working on it in earnest, but something we've been talking about for a number of years. And so tonight we're going to show you the new wayfinding signage program. On the table there you have a couple of hardbound copies of both the maps of where signs are to be located, as well as the design drawings of what these signs will look like. So if you want to look at any of those in more detail, they're on your table. Okay, so the other goal of tonight, in addition to just letting you know what the plan looks like, is to get your input on our next steps forward. We began working on this in November of 2015. We hired Corbin Design out of Traverse City, Michigan, to be our consultant on the project. They are one of the country's leading experts in wayfinding signage. They've worked in cities like Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Frisco, Fort Worth, Texas, and Alva, Oklahoma. We really became aware of them when they started their work in Alva, because we can't let Alva outdo Enid. So we quickly started paying attention to what they were doing and began conversations with Corbin at that time. Some of the things that the reason that we believe wayfinding signage is going to be a benefit to Enid is to increase sales and sales tax revenue to many of our venues, cultural venues, as well as retail establishments. Consolidate and remove duplicate and outdated signage. We also refer to this as our sign consolidation project. If you start paying attention to signs, and you will notice that we have a lot of unnecessary signs or outdated signs or duplicate signs. And so we really hope that this is an effort to clean up some of that as well. Increase just general traffic into some of our areas. Improve the visitor experience overall, so that as visitors come to Enid, it's easier for them to find the places that they're looking to visit. It also does some incidental marketing. Sometimes your business traveler may be in town strictly on business, and he'll see a sign for Leonardo's Children's Museum and then realize maybe he needs to make another trip back with his family because we've got a children's museum. So it does some of that. increases local pride in the community. I think even our citizens a lot of times forget what it is we have available and what assets we have in town, so these will make that more obvious. They help to create a sense of place. This is something a lot of people will remind us that, well, everybody has our phones and we have GPS, and so why do you need wayfinding signage? Wayfinding signage actually can act as a validator for your GPS and let you know when you have arrived someplace. It also helps act as kind of a welcome mat when you arrive into a district or arrive at your destination. And so it helps create that sense of place. And obviously it helps move people across town. We have a very long corridor on Garriott from east to west. And Brent loves to tell the story about his parents who come in from out of town and don't get all the way across East Garriott into our downtown. They just come in on the west side. And I know that happens the other direction too. When visitors come to downtown, they don't realize we have shopping on the west side. With two major highways intersecting the community, we really want to make an effort to get those travelers off the highway and into the community, spending their time and their money.
Lisa, who's going to do item 2? Back that up, please. Who's going to consolidate and remove duplicate or outdated signage? Do you have a group that's going to get together?
Yes, the Enid First Team, as a part of the recommendations for which signs should be installed at which time, we will also be recommending any duplicate signs in the same area that could be removed.
The sign shop will do it.
And, yeah.
City employees, Mayor, will
City shop,
actually do that. I believe we'll do the installation of the new signs, we'll remove the duplicate or outdated signage as well.
Good.
So like I said, this has been something that we haven't taken lightly. We did start this in November of last year when we engaged Corbin Design. They came to Enid in February. Spent a couple days visiting the community, and we met with a stakeholder group of citizens, which is something the Enid First Team has believed has been very important through the years as we've done any of these projects, is we've made a real effort to involve, excuse me, bring me my water over there, please. Is to engage any of the citizens that might benefit or be able to advise us on the projects that we're working on. So we met with probably 25 people at that time. Let me get a drink. Okay, so you saw the pictures of these signs back in May. We were here and presented those. There's not much changed in the way of the design since then. We also added the entryway signs to the scope of work, which saved $80,000 off the original cost of those signs. So we were very pleased with the work Corbin did there. They have been very conscientious as to the types of materials and design of signs to make them cost efficient. We had our draft available in August. In September, as we mentioned, you awarded the contract for the 2 entryway signs. So those really are the cornerstone in the beginning of our wayfinding system. The design of those signs in the ways of the font and the color really help train the eye for anybody coming into town, that they can begin looking for that type of signage, and they'll find that as they come into town looking for certain venues and locations. The Enid First Team would like me to highlight the fact that we have spent much time since August refining those documents in the draft that we received from Corbin. We really took our local flavor and expertise on how the city is laid out and what signs need to be highlighted, and so we removed some, we added some, we changed the way some were done. So we spent over 40 hours with 5 or 6 of us working through that since November, and also met with city public works staff again on what the program looks like and how they might be involved and help with installation or fabrication of the signs, and received final documents last week. Here are some of those stakeholders that I mentioned that have been a part of this. Our colleges, Regional Heritage Center, Vance Air Force Base, Oklahoma Department of Transportation has been involved from the beginning. Our largest event centers, Expo Center, CMB Center, some of our cultural venues, Gaslight Symphony, Leonardo's, Keeping It Beautiful, and then our shopping centers such as Oakwood Mall and many of the owners around town, and our hospitals. Of course, many people come to town for medical services, so we thought it was important to include them in the process. And then these are some images of where the design inspiration came from for our signage. A lot of it was taken from the branding that we did originally, which was inspired by the Art Deco design of Enid. This was our original entryway sign. You'll see some of the chevron look in our signs, some of the capstones that we have on the tops of our buildings helped inspire the design of our signage, as well as this design, not to overuse that word, which I am, but that's in the Symphony Center, so you will see that at the tops of some of the signs. And here is the basic look. Here's our entryway signs, which we're so excited to hear that they've been installed just last week, so the timeliness of the presentation is excellent. These are our main vehicular guide signs. Excuse me. These are the largest signs. They appear on the highways. They each will advertise 3 destinations. And at the top here, you'll see that this one shows the district as downtown. We identified 3 districts in Enid: our downtown district, our varsity district, which is the university area, and then West Garriott district, which is the shopping in West Garriott. And I do have color samples here, which are kind of fun. So this is the 3 different colors of those districts. So as you enter those districts, you will see those signs highlighted with those colors. If you are not within one of those districts, you would see a general Enid logo at the top of the sign. And then the other thing that's a major part of the system is pedestrian signage for downtown. This is a pedestrian kiosk, and what this includes here is a map of downtown Enid. Down here would be a directory of businesses that can be found in downtown. And then the back side of the sign is also usable space, and so on the back side you could use it however you wanted to. If you wanted to highlight a current event or festival going on, if you want to provide some historic information about a location. So that's nice space on the back also is available for use.
Lisa, are any of those signs lighted?
None of the signs are lighted. No, these are all reflective paint to be picked up by headlights. And the pedestrian signs are less reflective because you don't want signs cars picking up on the reflection of a lot of those pedestrian signs. But they will be intended for people who are standing next to them. They all meet Department of Transportation guidelines for color.
Like on your sign on the right, if new businesses come in and stuff, can those be changed, add on?
Yes, absolutely. So those would be changed in whatever timing we determine is appropriate. It may be quarterly, it could be biannually, annually. So yes, definitely. So as events change and as new businesses come in, that can be updated. And then this is the entire sign type array. So you have lots of options here. These at the bottom are your pedestrian signs that would be found in downtown. These without poles would be signs that could be mounted to existing poles in downtown Enid. Here is a pedestrian kiosk like we just looked at, and then this would be a pedestrian kiosk that's mounted to an existing pole. This also includes parking signs. We've got quite a bit of public parking available now that's not marked. And so this would be an opportunity to mark those public spaces as well as name those lots so that people can be reminded, oh, I parked in lot A, or this one says Maple Lot. This is a park sign, but could be used, in front of a building. So these are versatile to be used however we determine fits the community. Here's one where we talk about we're the hometown of famous people that we want to brag about. And so that's an opportunity to consolidate some of those signs, because I know right now we've got a number of individual signs that we have with different people's names on it. So. Okay, this is the total map. And like I said, if you want any detail, you've got it in front of you, and we can visit with you anytime if you want to walk through it. But it includes signage. These with circles are our entryway signs. Here we go. And then beginning here at Garland and all the way out to 66th Street on the east. And then this would be, is that Oxford? And down here to Southgate, we've got signage all throughout the community. Total of 101 signs. Here's just a closer look. This is what your vehicular signage would look like zoomed in for your downtown area. The other thing I'll mention is that this also helped us have the opportunity to highlight main traffic routes through town that we would like to focus our visitors on. And so we've selected Independence and Grand, and then Broadway east to west. Obviously, we're doing quite a bit of investment in Broadway, and that's a nice broad street. So that connects from Highway 81 all the way to the Varsity District out at the universities. Here's a look at the Varsity District. And so we would circulate traffic this way if you're coming in off the highway from in town, and then as you come down Broadway. And then downtown, I mentioned pedestrian signage. So each of these little dots is a pedestrian sign, and or a parking sign, or a kiosk highlighting the different venues through downtown. Any questions on anything? Okay, so the other piece of our presentation tonight is really where we want your feedback. We intend to come back in January and present the entire package for your adoption for the City of Enid as their wayfinding signage system. This is similar to the trail system in that you designed 35 miles of trail, but you didn't install 35 miles in trail, all at once. And so we anticipate the same thing for this program as well, that we would adopt the entire system, but we would just install signs as we allocate money to do so. And so I believe right now for this fiscal year, you have $15,000 budgeted for signage for this fiscal year. And so we have spent some time trying to determine what your priority would be with that $15,000. It's a little trickier than you might imagine trying to set a priority on which signs go first, because you don't want to have an incomplete system. You don't want to throw some signs out there and then people get to the end of the signage and are left hanging. So what we've identified really as your primary intersection is Grand and Garriott. And at Grand and Garriott, we have two of these large highway signs, one facing east, one facing west. They're advertising the ballpark, the CMB Center, and Leonardo's Museum. Those are really your highest trafficked venues in town. And so they would point you into downtown on Grand. And then the other would be a pedestrian kiosk here located at the corner of the ballpark. The pedestrian kiosk would then advertise everything available in downtown, all of the businesses and other cultural venues. Obviously, there's quite a bit of traffic between the ballpark and the event center and the restaurants that are located there that we think that's a great place to put a first kiosk. And then there's some additional miscellaneous funds available there to do some parking signs as well. Okay, and then should you want to do more than what we have budgeted initially, we've also given you our next two priority schedules of signage. We've got another proposal here, and this is the $15,000 that we just mentioned with an additional $35,000. And what that would include then is these are your first two signs here at Grand and your kiosk. What it would do would be add a sign out here. This is just west of Garland. And this sign advertises the C&B Center, the Welcome Center, and the West Garriott District. Then you come in here at Cleveland. This sign advertises shops and dining to the north, Vance Air Force Base to the south, and downtown straight ahead. At Van Buren and Garriott, then you have one here that is eastbound, advertising your downtown and varsity districts to the east and Vance Air Force Base to the south. This circle is as you are northbound on Van Buren. It talks about the West Garriott district to the west and your downtown and varsity districts to the east. And then from there, we have a couple of additional signs in downtown Enid. One at Broadway and Grand, advertising the Symphony Center. Broadway is what you would take to get to the varsity district, so it also points you that direction, as well as north to Leonardo's Museum. At Maple and Grand, we have advertisement there for Gaslight Theater, Leonardo's Museum, and public parking. This would also give you funding for approximately 6 pedestrian kiosks, as well as additional parking signs for downtown. Any questions?
Lisa, we have 6 big signs that advertise or promote Vance Air Force Base. Are they involved in the equation?
We would look at those as probably replacing them with this signage. They would go in the same location that those signs are now. Assuming I'm thinking of the same signs you are. They're blue and white signs right now.
I think he's talking about the VDA billboards.
Oh, not the
Which is
billboards.
different.
No, those would stay in place. Mm-hmm.
Where's Cherokee Strip? Where's the Cherokee Strip Museum in all this?
Meaning what kind of signage do they have?
I mean, Leonardo's has been advertised like 29 times, more than anybody else.
Yeah.
So why aren't the other museums being treated equally?
No, they are, and they are all included in the entire proposal. But in setting priorities for what gets funded first, we selected Leonardo's. If you feel like Regional Heritage Center would be something you'd like to fund also or instead of, that's what we want to discuss and find out. Okay, and then one other proposal, and this is a $70,000 expense. So it includes everything we've talked about so far, plus $20,000. And what would be added here would be a kiosk in front of Leonardo's. And so that would be just like the one at the ballpark that would advertise all of the businesses in downtown, as well as a kiosk at Independence and Randolph, and that would be in front of the bike shop. It adds a sign out here at 66th Street as you are coming north to say Enid is to the left. Now, to some of us who are local and have lived here a while, that seems pretty obvious. But Woodring Airport is one of the major entry points into the community for people who have never been here before, but particularly a lot of business travelers. And so it may not be quite so obvious as they come out this direction. And so it's just a welcome and a little breadcrumb to say you are on the right track. I know you feel like you're out here kind of on the edge of town. Enid is to the west. And what else? 30th Street. Okay, and then this one here. This tells you the Varsity District, NOC, Northwestern, and Woodring Airport. So it points you these directions here, as well as additional parking signs. So that's the end of the presentation. And so in January, again, we do want to present the entire system for your acceptance. And we'd like to also propose a budget item to approve funding for this fiscal year for the first set of signs. And so we'd kind of like your feedback on what you would like that budget item to look like.
And is the plan kind of is we have available funds year after year to add to the system? What's if we were going to drop all of it in at once?
Yes. So
what would that cost
the
us?
total cost, we believe at this point, and I'm going to step you through where we've been on the cost thing because this is something we've worked a lot on. From the consultants who designed this, and obviously they're national consultants and they work with national sign fabricators, Their initial cost for the entire system to hire someone to design and install, which includes shipping and engineering and contingency, and is over $500,000. So we took that number and began talking with some statewide sign fabricators and got that number down to about 350. And then if we look at the city of Enid doing the installation for us, that knocks it down to 300. And then from there, the city may also be able to help with a lot of the fabrication as well, so it could reduce it even further.
And what department does this come out of?
The general fund, I think, is where it's budgeted now. Is that right, Aaron?
Okay.
Lisa, option number 2, you said it also includes 6 pedestrian kiosks.
Yes, and those would be existing poles, on existing poles, not the freestanding ones.
I guess in my opinion, I don't see the pedestrian kiosks as being as high a priority as some of the other signs that were in option 3. Could that be moved around?
Sure. Yep. Any of this can be adjusted.
How does option 3 get to $300,000, Lisa?
Option 3 does not. This is just a small sliver of the $300,000 package. This is the first, it's probably not even a dozen signs there out of the 100 total in the
Okay.
package. These along the highway are the most expensive signs. They're the largest, and they require, I was talking with Ben, the largest cost for one of these signs is the pole. It's probably 2/3 of the cost, and so these each have 2 poles. And so, anyway, because they're the largest, any that we put along either of the highways are going to be the most expensive, and probably some of the first we'll want to erect. But it's all.
Well, thank you all for putting so much time into it. The group.
That's great.
It's been a lot bigger undertaking than we expected, but it's fun. So.
I've noticed the ones in El Reno.
Yes,
Last
El
couple
Reno.
times I've been through there.
Mm-hmm.
I take it they's all passed code.
Oh, I'm sure, yes.
What I think that we need to point out too, because of it's not completely related to this, but with our new entryway signs that just came up, that I think that we need to point out to the public that that's been an ongoing project for a lot of years. That's not something that just popped up since May. Because we've been we tried to bid out signs years ago, and then it didn't happen, and it's moved along. So now, like, these popped up, and now the public is all in an uproar thinking we just willy-nilly got these signs all of a sudden, and that's not the case.
We'd be glad to follow up with the press release and let people know it's been a multiple-year project. And I think everybody's very pleased with where we ended up, because we ended up with, I think, the best solution for the least amount of money.
And they look great. I mean, I like them.
I think they do too.
There's been a lot of rumbling though.
It's awkward when you get into a town and you're lost and don't know where things are.
I think they look very nice.
They do.
I do too. What's the plan on the other 2
And they were much cheaper.
entryway signs?
They are probably
Is that
waiting to
next
be
year?
budgeted for another fiscal year.
Yes, Mayor, I think that we had the opportunity with alternates, I believe, to go back and address that either later this year if we'd like to, or in the next budget year. And I believe those prices would still be valid, I think, on the alternate, wouldn't they?
The telephone pole looked nice on top of that one there.
Okay, yes, excuse me. This is what the sign looks like.
Sure.
As you can tell, they're recently set up. We did have the manufacturer give us the image of it, what it would look like in his darkened manufacturing facility backlit. So this is what we expect it to look like when it's lit at night.
Cool.
We have talked to the contractor a little bit about the unit prices and if they would be, and obviously it would have to be within the unit prices that he bid, and he would have to be willing to accept it. But we've just told him that that might be something we'd be looking at in the future, in the near future. Obviously, if it's something that we're going to do soon, fine. And once we accept the project, we'll rebid them. Any questions?
Old signs are made of wood, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And were they or were they not in wonderful condition when we replaced them?
Well, I wouldn't say they were in wonderful condition.
Exactly my point. I saw one that had like fallen over onto the road, like it had fallen over, like it came out, like fell. It was like dead on the ground.
But we have
But
all
it was
those.
apparently in pristine condition, and we should never have done this.
They were looking a
Well,
little
for those
better.
people, I think we'll auction off the remains.
Yeah,
I
put
think
on the
that's a
public
great
surplus
idea.
If they
website.
think they're that great, then they
That is a
certainly
very
can
good
add to the
idea.
city
I've had
coffers.
people that say that we should put them in in the parks.
That's a good
Okay.
idea too.
There's nothing historic about them. Why would we do that?
Well, there you
Say
go.
what they call them. So we
Well,
budgeted
they were, I mean, they
130.
were part of our Enid's history for a
Well,
little while.
the Boomer logo, I think, is always popular.
Yeah, but you've got
Yeah.
Boomer.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
So Chris, we budgeted 130 for these two signs, but we spent 48, 50. What did we spend on these signs?
No, we originally budgeted 130. In the previous budget year, we rolled over 2039,
39, I think.
and these came up of just under that.
Okay, so
The
there's not any excess money in that.
No.
So where are we gonna get 50 grand for proposal 2 this year?
Either that or we just wait and budget it for next year and bid it again.
If you would like to pursue it, you can look at the budget and see, it would probably.
I'm talking about the wayfinding signs. Where's that? That's not in this year's budget, and we're,
Well, 15 is in this
15 is in the
year.
budget.
We'd have to get additional, we'd have to find additional 35 to do option 2.
right, and where is that gonna come?
We would have to analyze and look at that and potentially bring back a budget amendment. I think that we could, for 35, a total of 50, I think we could probably do that, but Erin's got to have some time to, she's aware of it, and
Will you bring us some options at that, whatever meeting Lisa's making a proposal where we could find the money if we wanted to do it? I mean, is that
Yes.
workable?
yes, I think we'll bring it back at the same time that, whichever meeting in January that first team's coming back with the overall plan for your adoption, and then we'll, based on whatever option you want to choose, we'll look at having an option for either rearranging the budget or a budget amendment with an explanation of where the money would come from.
Check the couch cushions.
You know, this is a different sign altogether, but I've always been concerned about the fact that we do not have a sign at I-35 indicating that this, you know, to Enid. I've never figured out why we don't. It's been talked about, I know, for at least 25 years, but it never seems to get
Well, we've got
funded.
2 wooden signs that,
We could totally repurpose them.
Boy, one of these signs would look great.
I thought we had 4,
Yeah.
Tammy. I think
I don't know how many we have, there's several.
Well, anyway, I mean, you know, but most cities have got a big billboard out there saying, you know, this way to Enid and indicating a few things that we have here, but we do
We
not.
have some visit Enid.
You talking about those things up by Blackwell?
No, there's one on I-35.
Billboard there.
turnoff signs.
Oh, yeah, the state sign, oh, sure, I know.
Yes, sir.
I've already went by that too
Yeah.
fast.
There's a big visit Enid billboard too, up on
There are
I-35.
billboards to the south and to the north of that turnoff.
yeah, but nobody looks at those billboards.
I do.
You talking about the ones by Blackwell
Yes,
that are on the wrong side of the road?
yes. That's billboards.
Yeah, I know.
Less
There's the
expensive.
green
I just
lots.
want to know why we can't get a sign out here at I-35, you know, a billboard there that says, you know, this.
There aren't any billboards.
Well, but we could get an easement
We could
from
do that
a
if you
property
wanted
owner
I
at
don't know. To me,
I-35 to construct one of these.
Right.
I mean, it would cost money, but
Yeah, but I mean,
these are a lot sexier than those green things, so
and that's what we're going for.
Right.
that's
If you
with all
can find
things.
the
What are we
money,
known for?
Yeah.
if you can find the money, I think we need to at least get started. I think we need more than $15,000. At least get something.
I would agree, man. It's a great
Otherwise,
project, a lot of work's been put into it.
We're gonna do like we do it at home. We're gonna put it off for a long time.
I think if we're gonna try to get it all done in about 3 years or so, probably need to invest more this year. We can do that, if you guys want to.
We can come back with a $50,000 proposal unless we hear differently. And if any of you want input or want to see how we prioritize those signs, we can meet with you and go through that with you between now and then.
I think that's a good start.
Cool. Looks great.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm done early.
We're adjourned. We'll meet upstairs at 6:30.
Thank you for joining us for the Enid. Good evening and welcome to the broadcast of the Enid. Thank you for joining us for the Enid City Commission study session. If you have any questions or comments, visit our website at enid.org.